At this time, I would turn to the witness for voir dire as an expert in firearms identification.
Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
So let's give the jury a little bit of an education of what you kind of do every single day about firearms and how you're able to compare components of a cartridge to each other and then to potentially guns.
Sure. So a basic day of what I do is I compare cartridge cases and bullets microscopically to determine if they were or were not fired from a particular firearm. I also perform firearm function testing, serial number restoration, and imaging cartridge cases into our database. The way that I would compare bullets or cartridge cases to each other is I would use my comparison microscope. It's two microscopes joined by an optical bridge that allows me to view two objects at the same time under the same magnification. So what I'm doing is I'm putting one cartridge case on one side, another cartridge case on the other side. I'm comparing those two, overlaying those images on top of each other, and I'm looking for a repeating pattern that's coming from the firearm during the firing process. I use the exact same procedure for looking at bullets. If they have the same pattern, I would determine they were fired from the same firearm. If they don't, that's when I can eliminate from the same gun.
Explain to the jury how a firearm manufactured by the same firearms manufacturer at the same period of time, can those individual firearms be distinguished from each other?
So when a firearm is being manufactured, the way that those unique characteristics are imparted to the firearm are during the manufacturing process. If you think about the barrel itself, it's going to have to be drilled, it's going to have to be reamed, it's going to have to be rifled. All of those tools are creating an immense amount of pressure within the barrel, and they're forming what's called chip formations as it's removing or displacing the metal. Those chip formations are creating unique microscopic imperfections within the barrel and various other parts of the firearm itself. And those unique surface imperfections are being imparted to the bullet or the cartridge case during the firing process. The barrel or other various parts of the firearm are harder than the metal is used for cartridge cases and bullets. So those unique imperfections or scratches are going to be transferred over to those components. And I'm looking at those on the scope to determine if they have the same pattern as test fires that I would create or multiple pieces of evidence that I would compare to each other.
So is this scientifically accepted in the community?
Yes, it is.
Make these kind of comparisons?
Yes, sir.
For how long has various laboratories been doing this kind of work?
Over 100 years.
Is it replicatable or replicable? In other words, other labs could do the same work and go behind you and compare what you've done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's turn directly to your work in, you have your file up there with you?
Yes, sir.
FDLE number 2026-1946. You've reviewed that?
Yeah, 2026-040-1946. Yes.
040 is just to go to the, okay. You did not get a firearm in this case?
No, sir.
All right, let's go through what you did. And you briefly mentioned this. Explain to the jury how cartridge cases, how they come to be in a particular scene, and then how they're different from projectiles.
So a cartridge case and a bullet are two parts of a cartridge. A cartridge is a single unit of ammunition. The cartridge case is the body of the cartridge. There's the projectile, which is propelled down and out the barrel of the firearm by the explosion caused by the firing pin hitting the primer, which is the third component, creating a spark to ignite the gunpowder, which is the fourth component in the cartridge. When a gun is fired, that cartridge case is typically, in a semi-automatic firearm, automatically extracted and ejected out of the firearm. The bullet is propelled down the barrel and out the barrel of the firearm.
When a cartridge case is expelled from the firearm, do they typically go in a pattern that is similar?
Not typically, no.
So they go out of the firearm and they can kind of bounce around and go anywhere?
And depends on how you're holding the firearm and where you're shooting from, a lot of different variables, yes.
And I know the jury's probably seen this from movies and things, but when the cases get expelled from the firearms, are they going hundreds of yards on their own?
No.
So they're going to be in the general vicinity, but you just don't know exactly where?
Correct.
So then once you can compare those cartridge cases to each other to see if they're fired from the same firearm, how about the projectiles? Can you compare those projectiles to the actual casings?
No, sir.
Explain why not.
So when the cartridge case expels the bullet from the firearm, any markings that would be left behind from the bullet being removed from the cartridge case are going to be overwritten by the markings that are left behind from the barrel. So there's nothing for me to compare it to.
Okay. So there's kind of two different components when you have a case where you have projectiles and casings. Is that fair?
They're basically a separate entity when I don't have a firearm to compare it to.
Okay. And in this case, you did.
Correct.
So let's go first with the casings. Were you able to perform any analysis on the 4 10-millimeter casings that were provided to you?
Yes.
How do you know they're 10 millimeters?
They have 10 millimeter written right on the head stamp.
Is that a clue?
It's a very good clue.
Did you also notice other things that made it indicate it was a 10-millimeter shell casing?
The size, the diameter, and everything that goes along with the 10 millimeter cartridge case, yes.
We're able to microscopically compare each one of those 4 casings to determine whether or not they were fired from the same firearm.
That's correct, yes.
And were they?
Yes.
They approached the witness.
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence is State's Exhibit 88A, B, C, and D. And I just want you to look at those and make sure that those are, of course, I mixed it up. There's 88D, 88C, 88A, and 88B.
Okay.
Are those the 4 cartridge cases, 10-millimeter cartridge cases that you compared to each other?
Yes, sir.
And that they all matched?
Yes, sir.
And may I publish those in actual display form?
Yes.
So I think you can remain there, Mr. Hausdorf. But when we talk about the shell casings, we're talking about the pristine cylindrical cartridge cases.
Yes, the
I guess
4 on the left there.
Pointing to it here. We see other things that are more damaged. Is that going to be the projectiles?
In this case, yes.
Is it common to have your projectiles be somewhat damaged and have your cartridge cases be pristine?
Yes.
And I guess that's obvious. Why is that?
Do you want to use that table over there?
No, I think the jury can see it from here, if that's okay. I'll move it before Mr. Dresser gets up. They can all see it from there. If that's okay with Your Honor?
Yes.
We'll do these two. I forgot what my question was. Why? Why do they get damaged?
Typically on what they hit, obviously it's going to be something harder than what the projectile is. If it hits a person, car, wall, it's going to create damage to that projectile.
In identifying those 4 cartridge cases, were you also able to make an opinion as to the class characteristics of those cartridge cases?
Yes, they are typically fired in a Glock firearm based off the type of class characteristics that are left behind on that cartridge case.